Good evening, everybody. Thanks for packing in and spending the next hour with us. I appreciate it. This is a workshop we've never done before. Usually I do basic workshops, explain what we do at True Wellness and how the body works on a general basis, and we'll go over a little bit of that. But we want to hone in tonight on anxiety, because we see so much folks coming into the office and into the practice complaining about anxiety. So I finally got to the point of going, you know what, instead of explaining this one-on-one with folks all the time about anxiety, and everybody's anxiety is a little different, I want to get a group together that's interested in understanding quote-unquote anxiety and what anxiety is and trying to handle it. And by the end of tonight, I will also give you some exercises if you are people dealing with some kind of anxiety, so that you can do some exercises that will help you handle anxiety. So first and foremost, let's figure out what that is. Real quick, I want to go over this. Everybody has seen this before. You have an autonomic nervous system. There's two general aspects of the autonomic nervous system. You've got the parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system allows us to rest, heal, digest, and go through life non-stressed. There is no anxiety over here. If you're parasympathetic, you'll fall asleep if I'm boring, but you won't feel anxious. Sympathetic nervous system is the opposite of that. This burns energy for the body. It's appropriate, it's good, it's not a bad thing, it's just the opposite of this. This is resting and healing, digesting, this is rest. This is burning energy. Burning energy, okay? If you do this appropriately, then you have good regulation. And if you have good regulation, it's hard to get sick, stay sick, and fall into disease. Your body has the ability to compensate. If we can regulate, then we can compensate and we can handle the stress of normal life. Okay? We all know the things that start to affect our regulation, that can cause a disbalance in here, cause this to be faulty, and suddenly, typically what we see in modern day is the sympathetics go way up, the parasympathetics get real stressed and get real tired. So now I can't rest, heal, and digest anymore, but I can lay in bed all night and worry. That's typically what we see. That's typically what happens to folks. There's a lot of different things that makes that happen, but usually, not all the time, but that's a typical. The sympathetic system gets stressed out, kind of locked up into a gear of, I'm anxious, the fight and flight syndrome is with me all the time. Okay? I always feel like I have to defend myself. The system gets real tired real fast. You'll start to feel exhausted if you stay in that state. But that's the sympathetics burning energy because it's in the fight or flight mode. You with me? The parasympathetics, if I stay there long enough, go, I just can't quiet that down. You're exhausting me. Okay? And so this is a classic experience for folks living in the modern world. My sympathetics are overstressed. My parasympathetics, my ability to rest, heal, and digest is depleted. And now I'm kind of stuck over here all the time. It's exhausting. That's how your regulation works. We work with folks in order to take any kind of blockage out of there, the things that cause that to happen, to let this be a smooth exchange all day long, and then it's not stressful. When you stand up, you should burn a little energy. Okay, when you're working, you should be burning a little energy. The body should be able to do that. When you're sitting down and resting and sleeping, this should take over, quiet this down, and allow you to rest and heal and digest. So that's a quick, basic understanding of our regulation and how it affects our health, because it's primary in how our system works and functions. Now, on to anxiety a little bit. Anxiety and fear. Ready? Are they the same thing? Are they the same thing? Just two different words for the same thing. Give me a yes, give me a no. What do you think? Anxiety and fear, are they the same? No. I heard a yes, I heard a no. Now.
One can create the other.
One can create the other.
I mean, if you're afraid, you will become anxious.
I agree with you. I totally believe that's how people feel, and that's how people think. I don't think you're wrong. But it's confusing. If we start to talk about this, we can get a bunch of different ideas in regards to what's the connection between anxiety and fear. We come up with all kinds of things. Here's what I finally deduced it down to today, because I've been thinking about this for a long time. Fear is the appropriate emotional response to a situation in the present. So, if a guy comes up the steps with a shotgun, goes clink, cling, we should all feel fear. And it would be appropriate. Yes? It would be totally appropriate. Totally appropriate to have some fear. If somebody came up the steps and we didn't know that person, they had a gun. Make everybody feel fear. Anxiety. Okay, so fear is the appropriate response to a situation to keep you safe. Fear is valid for your body to feel. Now, do this for me. How often should that occur? Very rarely. It should occur very rarely. You should not feel fearful very often, right? Okay. Totally appropriate, keeps me alive. It has for eons. The human condition, the human being, man has survived generally because of this. It's a very important and appropriate reaction to a situation. Okay, let's look at anxiety. Anxiety is the totally inappropriate, fearful reaction to a situation that is not present. That is not present. See, if the guy comes up the stairs with the shotgun, we all go, ooh, all right, that's an issue. But we're not going to have anxiety. Now, if he keeps us captives and we become hostages for days and days and days, some of you are going to have anxiety attacks. Some of you will go into anxiety over a prolonged period of time. If I keep you under fear, you'll roll into anxiety and have heart palpitations. You'll start to sweat. You'll have diarrhea. Some of us will throw up because you're thinking about he's going to kill us. Okay? Totally, it's very extreme. But I want to point the two out to you so we get a handle on the difference between fear and anxiety. Anxiety is the inappropriate response to a situation that hasn't occurred, to a situation that's imaginary. This is totally inappropriate, does nothing good for us. Does not have a place in our survivability. This totally does. So don't be afraid of fear, but here's what happens. I hear many folks that I work with in regards to anxiety go, I literally get to the point where I'm afraid of being afraid. Well, that's quite the double-edged sword. I'm afraid of being afraid. I have anxiety over having anxiety. I am fearful of feeling fear. That's tough, right? So now what happens is those people are paralyzed. They become paralyzed. That if you become fearful of feeling fear, you won't leave your house. You'll go into agoraphobia. You won't leave the house because you can't take the stimulation. You're afraid of being afraid. What happens if I have a panic attack out there? What? What happened? So now I'm having a panic attack about having a panic attack. And so this is good. We're going to get real good solid stuff for you. Okay? There's many things that cause this. And look, guys, this is absolutely, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, but this is absolutely, and I should do this. Let's clarify. Let's call this anxiety. I don't know how to spell this. Well, we'll watch. Did I spell that right? Disorder?
Do you have anxiety or spelling disorder?
Oh, God. Not anymore. I used to, but now I just put it up and I go, if it's wrong, I don't care. So really what we should talk about is anxiety disorder, because you can create appropriate anxiety on some level. I mean, it really relates back into the fear of the body feeling like something's going to happen. So what we're talking about is modern day anxiety disorder, which is the concept of having a fear that has no basis in any kind of reality. You're worrying about something that might happen. It is this that hurts us so much, many of us. It's this. This will hurt you. What ifs? You can sit all day long and go, well, what if? You know, what if I get in a car accident? What if Johnny gets hurt? What if they get sick? Oh my gosh, you can what if yourself into anxiety. But there's no basis to it. There's no foundation. It's a false reality, right? I used to teach all the time fear of being a false emotion appearing real. False emotions that appear real. Well, that's actually what anxiety is. Anxiety is false emotions that appear to be real, and it's not right in front of you in the moment. It's an imaginary fear that turns into an anxiety. Okay, but it's not a these folks aren't having a psychological problem. I don't believe it's a psychological problem. Let's talk about why the body feels anxiety as opposed to feeling fear. Okay, if I put you up on a cliff and we're standing on the edge of the cliff, you should appropriately feel fear, unless you have absolutely no fear of heights. Most human beings have a fear of heights. Put you up on a cliff, it's an appropriate feeling of feeling some fear. Okay? So, if I fall off, I will die. Okay? That's appropriate fear. If you're laying in bed worrying about falling off a cliff, that's an inappropriate anxiety. It's something that's not happening, that's not present in your experience right now, but it will feel real to your nervous system. Because remember something, your body does not make distinctions in regards to what you think and what it's actually experiencing. Just like dreaming, okay? You'll have physiological reactions to dreams, even though that's not really, quote unquote, happening to you in what we think of as reality. So how our minds play around with this really goes back and forth between these two things. When people have anxiety disorder, it's a response to an inappropriate, an imagined stress, an imagined stressor that's causing that type of fear. Some of the things that the body goes through that will absolutely create this feeling are heavy metals, and I always put mercury in there. Heavy metals will absolutely create the feeling of anxiety because it has a lot to do with how your body handles oxygen. And if you want to go into anxiety, if you've never experienced anxiety, have somebody choke you out. If you get choked out, you will feel what anxiety is. The body hates feeling like it doesn't have oxygen. And you'll go right into an anxiety attack. Your heart will start to race, but it won't last long because I'll put you to sleep in 15 seconds. But that's what anxiety is. Okay? And a heavy metal load, a heavy metal burden will take oxygen away from the cells and the ability for the cells to allow that process to happen, and it'll cause anxiety in the body. So you can look at starting to fill your rain barrel up if you're dealing with any kind of heavy metals in regards to anxiety. It's absolutely a load. There's not a lot of folks that I see that come in complaining of anxiety, real anxiety, heart palpitations, sweating, the whole thing, real anxiety attacks, that don't have a heavy metal load. The second thing that really affects this, I know it sounds weird and I know you've seen this before, and I'm just talking about anxiety though, are scars. Scars on your skin cause a lot of autonomic nervous system stress. If you have your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system, if you have a scar on your skin, the sympathetics are constantly firing into the autonomic nervous system. It'll absolutely cause the feeling of anxiety. So what we try to do with folks is we go, let's handle your scars on your body so we stop that excess energy being shot into the autonomic nervous system. If you have a heavy metal load, let's get you to the point where we can drain some metals out of the body so we can start to eliminate that and get oxygen back into the system instead of the heavy metals. And then emotional stress. Yeah, your food will have issues. I mean, if I leave that out on this a little bit because at this point with most of the folks in the room, I'm figuring you're not eating a lot of foods that are processed and you know, not a lot of stuff out of cans and boxes and la 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 la. I mean, if you have a real bad diet, sure, it can contribute to anxiety. Also, the other thing that contributes to anxiety for the body is dehydration. Not having enough water will absolutely cause anxiety for you, for the population. Okay? And if you, remember this, here's a good rule of thumb. If I'm thirsty, if I go, ooh, I'm thirsty, you've been dehydrated for a while. You've been dehydrated for a while when you finally get the thirst feeling in your body. So be conscious of trying to drink water. This will absolutely help with anxiety. And so the other thing I put in here, so metals, scars, the foods are an issue, water of course, emotions. Let's put it up top, because that's really a big part of this, how we handle the emotional stress. So a lot of times when I talk to folks and I ask them, okay, what's your anxiety about? What, you know, what turns it on for you? What's going on? Is it situational? Because there's different types. Is it situational? What I mean by that is, are you under a specific situation right now that is causing this type of stress, this type of worry? Because you can usually deduce this down for folks, and they call it this. They worry. It's a constant worry. I worry, I worry, I worry. And I always ask, well, what are you worrying about? You know, what do you worry about? And I've had every answer in the world. Everything from I worry about terrorism, I worry about the terrorists, I worry about the world in that way, I've had people come in tears worrying about the politics that are going on. And then I'd say, yeah, I get it. You know, I get it. Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. But is it really, I mean, to the point where you're going to cry over it? It's going to worry you to the point where it's affecting your life? The bottom line is, you know, there's not much you can do about it. There's not much you can do about it. And what happens for folks is the anxiety of not being able to do anything about things causes an anxiety. They start to feel paralyzed. They start to feel as if they have no control over anything. The drag is, you got to say, you're right. You have no control. You don't have a lot of control. It's okay. Let go. If you let go of the idea of I need to control what's happening around me, if you can let go of that and let go of the feeling of I need to control this, your anxiety will start to disappear. It sounds backwards because the person goes, if I let go, I'm going to worry more. Now, if you let go, you'll worry less. But it's a hard thing to flip the mind around because we get habituated to it. We get habituated to worrying all the time. But they've proven it 1,000,000 times. The things you worry about, 90% of them will never ever happen. It just won't occur. Like worrying about getting in a car accident. 90% of the time it will not occur. And 10% of the time of the things that you worry about that do occur, the worry would never have stopped it from happening. So it's a complete waste of energy. That's easy to say, but it's hard for somebody to turn worry off because it becomes habitual. So anxiety is a deep worry. The fear keeps us alive. It's appropriate. These are the stressors that start to build up in my system, though, that won't allow me to handle the emotional stress. I was having a conversation with somebody today about this workshop, and we were joking, and I said, you know, the truth is this. If you went into the Amazon and you grabbed a native in the Amazon and you said, do you have anxiety? They would go, huh? I mean, they're out every day looking for food, but I don't think anyone's standing in a hut going, Harry, I can't leave the hut. I have agoraphobia. I'm so anxious, the monkeys are in the trees. I'm not sure what to do. It sounds ridiculous. We would all go, that doesn't happen. So those people don't have anxiety. I agree. I don't think those people have anxiety. I don't think there's somebody frozen in a hut somewhere going, I haven't been out in a week and I can't leave the house. You know? Honey, we need the bananas. You can't leave the hut. But there are people living in America that go, I haven't left my house in a month. I haven't left my house in 2 months. And there are people here that I emailed and asked to be here tonight that are going, I can't leave the house tonight because of my anxiety. It's okay. So it is really a manifested, I believe, a manifested modern day syndrome that people are living under because of the pressure, and the pressures that are put on them are intangible pressures. See, it's one thing to go, every day you got to go out and you got to hunt something, you got to gather something, you got to feed the family. That's a certain kind of pressure. He could do that. He could probably do that for 50 years and not feel anxiety. Okay, but if I say to him, you got to go out and you got to make money. You need a McMansion. You need 2 cars. You got 2 kids. Suddenly, the intangible stressors of who I am and how the world looks at me and all of that. That's the stuff that starts to build up, and the person goes, I don't know why I feel this way. I don't know why I feel anxious. I don't know why I can't sleep at night. So, yeah, of course I want to look at your scars, and we want to look at your mental load, and we want to look at your nutrition and how much water you drink, but with this, we want to look at your emotional stress and how you deal with it. So, what are the tools to help deal with specific anxiety? Has anyone actually had an anxiety attack? A true anxiety attack where my heart palpitates, I feel sweaty, I might faint? Just a couple of you? Yeah, who has ever had that feeling of a true panic attack? Oh my gosh, I should lay down, I can't function, right? Okay, it's horrendous, is it not? I had one once. I'm going to say 10 years ago, but it was far longer than 10 years ago. It was far longer than 10 years ago. And I wasn't even in this world. I was teaching martial arts. I came home from teaching one night. I felt fantastic. And I laid down on the couch and suddenly my heart started racing. Really racing, really. And I was like, whoa. And it was just going crazy. And I started sweating, and I started to feel like I was going to faint. So I laid down on the couch and I threw my feet up, you know, deflect my brain, I don't want to faint. And I'm laying there, and my wife at the time goes, what's going on? I had not even got out of my uniform. I'm laying in a sweaty gi. And she goes, look, I said, I'm having a heart attack. Feels like a heart attack. I go, I'm having a heart attack. Call the ambulance, I'm having a heart attack. So she takes my pulse, it was 180. I'll never forget, she goes, oh, you're 180. I'm like, I'm having a heart attack. I'm fainting, and my heart is racing. She goes, you're not having a heart attack, you're having an anxiety attack. And she did acupuncture on me. And for about an hour, I lay there with needles, and I calmed down. Oh, went away. I was like, wow, I wasn't having a heart attack. She took the needles out, and it came back. 180, sweating, passing out, feel horrible. We did acupuncture every hour for 24 hours around the clock. Right into the next morning, I don't know if you were with us at that point. right around to the next morning. Every hour, I'm going into an attack. I'm going into an anxiety attack. Yep. Had no idea why. Not a clue. Okay? But we knew it wasn't a heart attack because I figured I'd been dead by now. I would have been dead if it had been a heart attack. She was calming me down. You know, I would calm down and then it would come back. I'm not kidding. That morning, that day, we called a friend up who was a therapist. And I said, I'm having an anxiety attack like nobody's business. She said, come right in. She did a little muscle testing, a little emotional release technique on me. I have never had one again. Never, ever had one again. I've woken up in the night screaming. It's not an anxiety attack. My heart's not pounding or anything. That's a whole different post-traumatic stress thing that I've conquered. But a true anxiety attack, it has never come back. Never come back. Very odd. So, I want to explain to you what I think this is and what happens to us, okay? Think of all the stressors that you have in life, okay? And they just start to build up. Just like any other toxin. It's a toxic experience when we have anxiety. It's an indication that we've got a toxic load that the body can't handle. What is that toxic load? Oh, I don't know. We don't know. We know it's probably a combination of heavy metals, scars, bad food, lack of water, emotional stress that I've never been able to deal with, handle or release, express or even be aware of. But at some point it builds up and it tips. And when it tips, the anxiety, disorder, panic attack is an indication, just saying to the body, I'm going to shut you down and drain this excess energy out. Imagine it being an energy buildup, and when it gets to a certain point, it has to discharge. It has to discharge, like an electrical storm, right? When the clouds roll in tonight, and the temperature's a certain temperature, and the atmosphere does a certain thing, we start to have rain, it creates electrical charge, and it's a lightning bolt, right? Well, that takes some time to be generated and be created, and then all of a sudden, it's released. That's what an anxiety attack is. It's a slow building of all the tension, no matter where you're picking that tension up, whether it's real or perceived, whether it's totally imaginary or completely real, it doesn't matter to the body, it builds up. Now, if you don't have a safety valve to just let that come out without symptoms, then it's going to keep building. And when it gets to this point, you don't have control anymore. And you don't feel like you have any control. Your body feels like it's out of control. The heart starts racing. And now that's the valve. And you'll do that until the system balances out again. Well, everyone wants to avoid that because it feels terrible. Right? That's what we're trying to avoid. Okay, there's a couple of ways to do that. There's a couple of ways to avoid the buildup and allow that energy to be dispersed appropriately, and the anxiety never has a chance to build. You with me? Does it make sense? Does it make some sense? Okay. Now, here's some of the fixes. You ready? Well, they're weird. So some of the fixes are spending time in nature. Actually spending time in nature, laying on the grass, laying in the grass, looking up at the sky. Don't go to the park and walk the asphalt paths. That's like you're in a museum. Oh, what a nice tree. But I'm not attached to it. I'm walking on the macadam, the nice trails they put through, and I'm viewing nature, but I'm still separated from it. So, you got to get into the grass and walk in the woods and take your shoes off, hug a tree, lay on the grass. Hug a tree.
Jake hugs trees.
Well, Jake hugs trees because he feels that energy. It's very grounding. Okay? Think about feeling anxiety. You feel disconnected. You feel like everything's apart. You feel disconnected. What you need to do is get connected again. And spending time in nature will do it. And if you guys think for a minute, in your own personal life, in all honesty, how much time do I actually spend in nature where my feet are in grass? You'll be stunned at how little you do that. You'll be stunned how little you do that. We have shoes on all the time. We're always insulated from the earth. So spend some time truly, especially with the weather hitting us now, spend some time in nature once a week. Okay, so that's a good one. Some nature time. You with me?
And just as a comment, that means no cell phones when you're in nature, right?
Yes, you want to avoid the electromagnetic fields. You don't want your cell phone. You don't want to sit by the tree on your iPad.
Right.
Because you haven't changed your environment. See, part of this is changing your environment. So that if you pull yourself out of your environment and put yourself in a different situation, I mean, I don't think anybody here has horrendous, tremendous, horrible anxiety. I mean, maybe you do, but I say this: if I took you to St. Martin and put you on the beach, it would disappear. If I was like, you got 3 days down here, how do you feel? You're like, woohoo! My anxiety's gone. Hey, this is important. If that's you, if a vacation makes my anxiety go away, then this is totally situational. You've put a lot of pressure on yourself in your life. You've created this, and now the body's rejecting it. Because if you go, I really could go to the Bahamas and be totally fine for a while, and like I don't think I'd have anxiety, then you just need to shift what you're doing up here. Because that's situational, okay? The folks that can't really get rid of anxiety, really truly can't get rid of it, in all honesty, and we've had several of them, put them on Corella. Detoxify them from metal, and the anxiety will drop. Then you can work with some of the emotional stuff that's left behind. But if you have truly out of control, raging anxieties, that's a load. That's a metal load. That's a toxic load. Pull the toxic load, your body will relax. Then we'll look at the emotional components to it. But people get caught up in it, and then docs look at anxiety and go, well, here's some Prozac. I'll medicate the anxiety so that you can function. It's horrendous. Okay, so nature is a great one. It will restore you. It will bring balance back to you. Here's the next one. Ready? Okay, who suffers from anxiety more, men or women? How do you all know that?
More pressure.
I have it all the time. So women, I agree. I think women suffer with anxiety more. Now, you ready? Here's the why to that one. You ready? These are the things that will help me eliminate anxiety, right? Ready? All right, ladies. Give me that one. More self-time. More self-time. More self-time. Y'all don't have any time for yourselves. Nope. It's up in the morning, down at bed, and I don't have a minute for myself in my day. I don't get any time for me. There's no me time. Me time. If you don't have me time, I like me time. Nature and me time. Here's the cool thing. Here's the big cure. Do these together. Oh gosh. Can you do those together? Oh, this is so good. Can I take the kids with us? No. Because what happens is you just eliminated me time. And it became mommy time again.
Hey, daddies need their kid time too.
Oh, everybody, man. You need me time. Now, depending on who you are, okay, and how you function, you need more or less of that. I am a big me time person. Kelly's known me for a long time. She knows I need a lot of me time, which means I love her, but I can't be with her all the time. But I can't be with anybody all the time. I literally look, there's only two types of people on the planet. You either recharge by being with people, or you recharge by being away from people. Both are perfectly appropriate and normal, natural, but you got to figure out who you are. She is I recharge with people person. I am I recharge alone without people person. If you know that with each other, though, no strife.
Yep.
It's no problem. So we've worked out our lives a little bit where we occasionally get 3-day weekends. We have pretty consistent 3-day weekends. And we work together. And Saturday we'll do something together. Sunday we'll do something together. But we've fallen into an unconscious place of Mondays are, have a great day. In the morning, see you this afternoon. And it's not about, but it's beautiful because it gives me my me time. She gets to do whatever she wants to do. And it allows the energy to dissipate. It allows the energy to dissipate because if you do not dissipate energy, just like any other electrical charge, it's going to build up and it has to do something. So I work at dissipating it with some me time. When I come back after me time, I go, oh God, I feel good. I can tolerate the phone call, or I can tolerate whatever we need to do. It makes it easier. So nature and me time is very important. It's really important. Okay, you ready for the next one in relationship to how we're going to handle eliminating anxiety, okay, and allowing that energy to dissipate appropriately. You ready for the next one? Who has anxiety more than? Women have anxiety more, right? Okay, ready? Here's the next one.
Get rid of the man.
Almost. Almost. You gotta have that. Woo!
kidding me?
Or you will have anxiety. You will end up having anxiety over a period of time. You got to have that. You have to have a good sex life, okay? Because this is a particular type of energy that builds up, that has to be expelled. No kidding, okay? And this goes for more than the physical. This really goes for the intimacy of having a relationship that is open and correct and right and honest and truthful and all of that stuff. Because these might be the cures for this. Some of the things that'll get you around this, though, and one of the big ones, is trying to, I don't know if I spell this right. Hold on. Oh my gosh, I think so. Don't keep secrets. Yep. How do you spell it? Go. S-E?
Secret. Cret. You got it.
E-T-S, okay. Don't keep secrets. Think about it for a second. Don't keep secrets. Because this is, hey, if you keep a secret, okay, here's the secret. Secret's the same as a lie. Now I got to know it all the time. I got to remember it. I got to keep it. I got to work it. I got to, oh yeah, who did I tell that to? Who did I not tell that to? Who can know this? Who cannot know this? Don't bother keeping secrets. And don't bother keeping secrets from the person you're doing this with. This has got to be the relationship that is just pure and right and correct and not stressful, okay? I spend time in nature. I have real me time. I don't care if you got to schedule it in. Schedule it in. If you have to schedule it in, this is a huge issue with creating your anxiety. If you have a schedule that is so tight that you got to schedule in downtime, change your schedule. There's nothing that important. And I've got plenty of folks that come in and go, literally, I'm on the clock. It's like minutes. I have minutes to do my next thing. I'm going to my next thing. I'm doing my next thing. If your schedule's that tight, woo! Yeah, that's why the presidents only get it for 4 years, man. The schedule's too tight. Watch how quickly they age, right? Doesn't matter who you stick in there, watch them age, because the schedules are very, very, very tight. They try and pack stuff in all day long. Okay. Well, the me time is downtime. Because some of the things that create this is the constant place of doing. We are a society that totally holds up and puts great weight on the doers. Doers are important, people. Doers are the thing that makes America great. But if you lock into the doing, it becomes a real problem for the body. You're locked into the doing. Okay, you need a balance between doing and being. We've talked about it before. So life should be do, be, do, be, do, be, do, be, do. I do and I be, I do and I be, I do and then I be. If you're stuck in the doing, this is an A-type personality. 99% of people that ever come in and go, I have anxiety, I go, oh, you a teacher, you a nurse? Because teachers and nurses have tons of anxiety. Why? Oh, they were awesome in school. They're A-type personality folks. They are also the person who will say, I get things done. I get things done. I don't have a lot of time in my day. Okay? I got some anxiety. I'm busy. Now, wait. Let's think of this for a minute. We're okay. Let's think of this for a minute. I'm ready to play this game. Do you think Donald Trump lays in bed at night and has anxiety? Why does everyone say no?
Yeah,
so
of course.
Interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because he walks around with that hair.
So wait, you ready? So you're going to tell me that Donald Trump tonight, he'll get in bed, he'll lay in bed, and he will not worry about that?
No.
Wait, do you know how much money he owes people? Do you know actually how broke he is? You know how much money he owes people? You know that he's got banks chasing his hiney around? Right? But does he lay in bed and do this? What do you think? No. Why do you all say no? Donald Trump doesn't have anxiety? I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I don't think Donald Trump has anxiety. He's a real wealthy guy who buys real estate. Here's why he doesn't have anxiety. You ready? You ready? He lives on it, man. He lives on the excitement of what he does. He loves it. He loves what he does. That's his trip. That's his adrenaline hit. But when he goes home and he has his meal, he's hanging out with his wife and stuff, he don't worry about what the banks are going to do. He doesn't worry about how much money he's losing or how much money he's making or if he's going to go completely broke and have to start over again. He doesn't worry about it. You know why? Come on, help me. You know why he
Because
doesn't?
we done it before.
Thank you very much. He's been there, done it before. I don't care. I've been broke, I've been rich, I've been broke, I've been rich. What do I care? Okay, so now, does it make sense for any of us to sit here and go, geez, I worry all the time about getting sick. Well, have you ever been sick before? Sure. You think you're going to get sick again? Mm-hmm. Well, then why are you worrying about it? Right? So, you know, try it. It's hard. It's hard. You got to put those things in perspective. Put those things in perspective. Usually, if we've never, ever, ever done something in our life before, if we've never had a specific experience, and you do it for the first time, you experience that. Okay? That's legit, man. That's legit. Okay? I remember the very first time when I was in the service and they took me up on the tower and they said, you're going to learn how to go across these ropes. We're 100 feet up in the air. And we had to climb up. We had to climb up these crazy towers. And I remember climbing up. And when we got to the top, some of the guys literally got down on their hands and knees. Now, it was gigantic. It was bigger than this whole upper floor. The tower surface was bigger than this whole upper floor. There was, you could put 75 people up there easily. Okay? Gigantic. 100 feet up in the air. Okay? Guys got up on that tower and couldn't stand. Couldn't get up. They were on their hands and knees. Now, they had cadre, drill sergeants, that had carabiners locked. They had belts on. And they had these ropes locked down to these rings on the thing. And they were walking around, man. They got no fear. Why do they got no fear? They know if they fall off, the belt's got them, right? And it's as big as half a football field. You're not falling off this thing. You would have to work to jump off this thing, okay? Guys are literally on their hands and knees. And drill sergeants are going, get up, boy! Stand on your feet! You can't even stand on your feet. You're 100 feet in the air, though. Huh? Can't stand up. Now, is that an appropriate fear?
Yeah.
No, I say no. No, see, I say no. Here's why. Here's why. Because they were safe. They were 100 feet up in the air, totally safe. Nobody's going to let anything happen to him, but the kid couldn't get on his feet. It was an inappropriate fear. It was an anxiety. It instantly caused them anxiety. I got up there too. Guess what? I was afraid. But I wasn't on my hands and knees. There was a part of me that instantly went, they're not falling off. The wind's not blowing anybody off of this thing. Right? They're not going to let anything happen to me. Right? They're not going to let anybody fall off this thing and get killed. There was nets all over the place. Nets under us. Nets all under. Oh, it doesn't matter. Still scared the devil out of you. They still couldn't walk. He had to lay on these ropes, put yourself across these ropes, no big deal. The point is, it caused inappropriate anxiety for some, appropriate fear for others. Here's the crazy thing. Once they got you up and they forced you to do it, I'm not kidding, you got down the bottom and went, can I do that again? Climb up there. It's just like the kid coming off the diving board for the first time, right? I don't want to. Do it, jump. Okay, they finally jump, they go in, they get out, they go, can I do it again? The anxiety went to this, and this actually becomes a little addictive. That's called the adrenaline junkie. I need that hit. I'm going to feel alive. You never feel more alive than the moment you might think you're going to die. Right? That's why people do adrenaline sports and everything else. It's because that moment, oh, there's nothing like it, okay? So, how do I combat this? Well, spending time in nature, detoxifying toxins, time for myself. I don't care what that is. I like to combine them and try and do it in nature. Do you want to sit and read a book outside and let the sun bathe you? That's fine. I'd rather have you lay in the grass and look at the clouds for 15 minutes. And think of nothing. Nothing at all. Feel the earth spinning. And let the worry go. It's not an easy thing to do. Have a good life in this regard. That goes for relationships. Okay, because a lot of anxiety is caused in the place of not feeling like you have that one solid relationship that you can really rely on and have that kind of intimacy and release that type of energy. Now, you ready for the next one? Here's a great tool for you if you find that you're actually having an anxiety attack, a quote-unquote anxiety attack. Oftentimes when we're going into anxiety, the first thing that shows up is that people stop breathing. You actually stop breathing. Most people breathe with the upper third of their lungs. They breathe with the upper part of their chest, never actually taking deep breaths and getting the oxygen that we actually need. Okay, so most folks don't know how to breathe, and I'm not going to teach you how to breathe. I'm going to teach you how to deal with anxiety in a particular way with a breathing technique. So here's what you do. let's say you start to feel that come on, whatever that might be, whether it's I can't leave the house, or I feel anxious about having to do a presentation, even if it's nervousness that you're dealing with, and not a full-out blown anxiety attack. But this works great for anxiety attacks. And this is not my little design. I saw this, and I'll say his name. I'm not a huge fan, but I caught this and I went, wow, that is pretty good. This was a Dr. Oz. Yeah, it's very good. And I went, this is awesome, man. It taught people a great thing in regards to breathing. So, for anxiety, here's what you do. You close your eyes and you picture in front of yourself the most beautiful flower bouquet that you can imagine. And what I want you to do is smell the bouquet. Take a nice breath in through your nose and smell the whole bouquet. Smell it for me. Oh, that was nice. Everyone. Smell those flowers. Okay, relax, breathe out. That's beautiful. So that's our first image, is I close my eyes and there are the roses, and I'm going to stick my nose in the roses and I'm going to take a breath. Oh gosh, they're wonderful. My second image is a nice, beautiful white candle with a flame. And what I want to do is blow the flame out. So now I'm going to breathe in the rose. I'm going to blow out the flame. Because nobody blows the flame out like this. I want you to blow the birthday cake out. Then you smell the roses. Blow out the candle. Smell the roses. Blow out the candle. Yeah, now if you smell the roses and blow out the candle about 10 times, your anxiety will disappear. You'll give much more oxygen to your body. Actually, I fib to you. You're actually not giving yourself more oxygen. You're actually giving yourself more carbon dioxide. But because of that, it'll calm you right down. Yeah, you're not over-oxygen, but when you do deep breathing, you give yourself more carbon dioxide. So, this is a beautiful, easy one you can stick in your back pocket, and it's easy to remember. Smell the flowers, blow out the candle. Go into monofocus in relationship to what's going on in your mind. Flowers, candle. Not worrying about everything that's happening around me. Flowers, candle, flowers, candle. I had another practitioner say this to me. He said, hey, here's one of the great things you can teach somebody when they're having anxiety. Feel like you're having an anxiety attack? This is actually what that woman did with me. So if you ever feel like you're having an anxiety attack, sit down and pick anything out in the room. Anything at all, doesn't matter what it is. Pick out that table. Now what you have to do is describe that table in extreme detail out loud to yourself. So I would start by saying, okay, it's black iron, it's twisted, there's 4 legs, it's 32 inches high, and I'm going to describe that to the best of my ability, down to the finest detail. Yeah, when you're done, you're, the anxiety. I lost my anxiety. It's an inappropriate response to a fear that is not real. It's your mind spinning out of control because it's overtaxed, it's overburdened, the physical body's overburdened, and this is a way to express and expel that excess energy. When I have anxiety, it's a buildup of excess energy, whether that's coming from a toxic load, and that toxic load is varied. Everything from the heavy metals to bad foods. I'll tell you what, you want anxiety, start eating fast food consistently. Oh yeah, and then you'll go into depression and then anxiety, and then depression and anxiety, and you'll find, after a period of time, that if you want your depression and anxiety to go away, have a burger. And you'll start to go, oh, whew, yeah, as long as I have my fix, I'm okay. I'm okay. So, there's all kinds of reasons for anxiety. A lot of people don't deal with it because they go, it's psychological. I don't tell anybody I'm a crazy person. You're not crazy, you're toxic. And that's toxic thoughts, toxic beliefs, toxic experiences that have built up over time. Okay? It's a shame we've got little kids that come in 9, 10, 11, 12 years old and are suffering with anxiety. Deep-seated panic attack anxiety. And it can be everything from doing 3 sports and A student in school, that kind of pressure, and want mom and dad to, do everything I can make mom and dad happy, all the way to toxic load burdens, where they go, I don't know why I feel this way. Immunizations can make people feel anxious and have anxiety attacks. So it's very varied and broad. Blowing out, breathing in the roses, blowing out the candle. The other thing is, you have a question? You have something?
Is the anxiety essentially a symptom of the nervous system? Is that how you're looking at it, or are you looking at it? Like all this toxic load. That's what I'm just
Oh,
thinking about. I've
yeah.
never done this workshop with you before. I've never
That's-
heard your perspective on it, in all honesty.
It's-
So I'm just truly asking the question.
I believe that it's a twofold thing. I think anxiety is a twofold thing. I think it's a physiological burden on the autonomic nervous system, whether that's heavy metals or other kinds of toxic loads. I also think it is a toxic burden load on a psycho-emotional, neuro-emotional component, where the person feels like there's a lot of external pressure that is not based in any reality.
So it's the old programs.
It's old programs. It's the pressure I put on myself on a daily basis, what I think I should be, who I think the shoulds will get you in a lot of trouble. You'll should yourself right into anxiety. I should be this, I should be that, I should do this, I should do that. I should handle my parents better. I should be nicer to my kids. I should catch yourself shoulding and stop that. Don't should yourself. Don't should yourself. So here's what you do. Take the should and put will in place of it, and then you'll change how you behave. Oh, I will be better to my kids. I will take care of my parents better, or I will not take care of my parents better. It's true. But here's the thing. See, we laugh. That's free will, and that's a sign of no anxiety. That's a sign. I haven't seen my sister in, how long was it?
3 years.
4 years, 3 years. I haven't seen my sister in 3 years. I don't have anxiety over her. I'm just not going to see her. Because seeing her and hanging with her and dealing with all that causes a bunch of anxiety. And if it's going to cause anxiety for me and for her and for her kids, why would I do that? Doesn't mean I don't love her. Just means I can't be with her. That's okay. That's okay. I'm telling you guys, most of us have anxiety because it's a self-inflicted feelings of guilt and pressure and social crap and all of that stuff. And the way they're handling it for us is they're going, here's Prozac. We're going to socially medicate you so that you feel like you can get through your day without ever looking at it. Well, here's the problem. You can socially medicate it, or you can look at your life. If you look at your life, it's a harder way to go. It's a harder way to go. But the end result is you'll get rid of the anxiety. Because you'll make decisions and you'll feel a greater free will. If you all feel a very strong free will, it's the place of going, I let go and let God. And if I decide to see my sister, I'll see my sister. And if I have stress over it, then I know I'm going to have stress over it. If I decide I will not see my sister, then I will not see my sister. I won't have stress over it. Doesn't matter. I want free will and feel okay either way. It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to be that way. But here's how you can manifest it. Alone time. And I've had some folks with anxiety say to me, the last thing I want is to be alone and lay there and feel all this and have my mind racing like this. I know, I'm with you. It's a bad feeling. But if you do it and you don't fight it, if you just don't fight it, your mind will puke for a while. You'll puke it out for a while. It may even make you nauseous, but it'll start to slow down. It'll start to slow down. The intensity of thoughts screaming through your mind will start to slow down. If you do the deep breathing, they'll start to slow down. And then what I want you to do is jump out of the I am having this experience. Jump out of that, get away from the ego aspect of it, the I, and just go, okay, my thoughts are slowing down. What is that thought? Oh, I'm worried about my bank account. Well, that's ridiculous. Let that one go. Whew. A couple more breaths. Here comes another thought. Oh, my boyfriend's a pain in the butt. He doesn't like this, that, and the other thing. Nah. Well, I got to decide what I'm going to do with him. But breathe, let that in and out. And let the thoughts become slower and longer in between. In between what you're looking for are pauses of nothingness. Just moments where you just went, oh wow, that sped by. Are you ready for the last and final thing in regards to how to handle your anxiety stuff? Time with nature, time with yourself, right? They were the big ones. Make sure you're hydrated. Make sure you know how to breathe. Practice that breathing thing. No, wait, I'm going to give you the last one and slip my mind. Hold on, it's very good. Breathing. I have no. Breathing, spending time with yourself. Hold on. Huh? Exercise? Nah, that's okay. Oh my God. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Start get a piece of paper.
Clear your mind of all thoughts.
Yeah, clear your mind of all thoughts. Oh, that's too funny. Hold on, I'll give it to you.
Well, while you're thinking about that, I want to say
Come
something.
on. Yeah.
So, if anybody in this room knows me, you know I'm a doer, not a beer. and I've had to learn, being with Ian on many levels from a work perspective and everything else. And I remember, I've known him for 15 years now. And when we first started becoming friends and we'd go out to lunch and stuff, and we'd be driving the car, and you know, he's driving and I'm driving, we're not saying anything, and I'm thinking, right? I got thoughts of brewing, and I'd be like, so what are you thinking about? And this is honest to God his answer. He'd be like, nothing. I'd be like, no, really, tell me.
That's
what are you
guys,
thinking
though,
about?
right?
He'd be like, no, I'm not thinking about anything. And I'm like, no, really, you gotta be thinking about something. I mean, like, you're driving, like, you gotta be thinking about something. He's like, no, I'm really thinking about nothing. I'm not kidding you, this frustrated me for 10 years. And in the last few years, I've started to figure out how to do that. And it has been a challenge for me. I'm not kidding you. The very first time Ian said, your biggest problem is you need to go and be, he sent me to a Buddhist monastery for a weekend and said, yeah, go sit with yourself, see how you feel then. And it was the most uncomfortable weekend of my life. His son and I went together. He had trained his son to be his whole life. Bo was 16 or 17 when we went, 16 I think when we went. Bo had the time of his life. I wanted to kill Ian because I thought I was I was pain-free and I was drug-free.
Yeah.
But I was told to go sit with my own thoughts for a weekend, and I was real aware that I was not healthy yet. That all my thoughts, all my worrying, all my frustration, all my anger was still trapped inside me. And he taught me to go and be. And I'm not kidding you, the first time I came home, he was like, well, don't you ever just like go in the room and be? I'm like, well, yeah, but what do you want me to do? He said, you know, go be. And I'm like, well, you want me to read a book? You want me to meditate? You want, no, just be. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And it has taken me years to get to this point. But breathing and the getting through those points and learning how to be, learning how to spend time in nature by myself, without my dogs, without Ian, without somebody needing me.
That's good. Sure. That's good. Good.
It is a learned behavior, and in our society,
it's not valued. That's not seen as any value.
Yeah, I was always like,
I feel like you're wasting time.
I'm wasting time.
When we first started opening this, when we opened this business, I didn't want to advertise. He didn't want to do anything, and I would show up after 5 months, and he had 4 people he saw all week. And I would be like, okay, what'd you do today? Well, I went to the park. I thought about people. And I thought about the right people to come to our office. I'm like, are you kidding me? We could be making phone calls. We could be emailing people. We could be talking to people. You should be walking around talking to those people. He was like, no, I'll just
I would leave the office. I would go, okay, I don't have anybody for another 4 hours. You know, I had 3 people a day. So I would go to the park, and I would read the Bible or read different things, and I would just go, they're coming. People are coming. They're going to know this is happening.
And I'm like, the car is being repossessed. We don't have any money. People are sitting on a table that you pretended is a massage table. It's a card table. And my anxiety.
People used to lay down on the table. I had a card table, and I stapled an egg crate to it, and then I covered it with a sheet. People would come in and lay down. Their knees would hang off. I'll buy a scanning.
And
your legs hang off.
I had anxiety. He had none. He was just like, if it's meant to be, it'll be. And if not, that's okay too. And it's a balance, obviously. It's a balance to run this. And I'm one extreme and he's another, by far. But it's finding that balance in the middle that's so key. And I'm telling you, practice being. Because it will take practice to be.
But here's so this is what I wanted to give you, the last and final one. Spend time with yourself, be in nature, all of that. And find a practice for yourself. Find a practice for yourself, whatever that is. So what does that mean? Well, I don't care. Practice yoga. Practice drawing. Find something. Here's how you'll know when you found it. Here's how you know when you found it. You'll know when you found it when you go, okay, I'm going to do, let's say draw, okay? I'm going to draw. I'm going to draw for a little while, okay? And you draw, and suddenly, an hour and a half is going by, and you go, holy mackerel, I had no idea an hour and a half went by. When you lose time in an activity, you will never have anxiety. You cannot have anxiety during that period of time. It's impossible. If you lose, any kind of hobby, any kind of practice, okay, will lead you into being able to do the being place. Because see, that you're actually going to a being place through an activity. And this will be much easier for everybody. It'll be much easier for everyone. My first experience in being was the martial arts. We were doing all kinds of stuff. But if you do repetitive over and over and over again, suddenly you're not thinking about it anymore because it's unconscious. Now it's a meditation. And I would lose myself time would disappear. If I'm doing artwork, my time disappears. If you're doing crocheting and you find that you lost 2 hours because you were just into it, this is a great practice. You combine that with nature, time for myself, that kind of practice, and good sex life, you'll not have anxiety. Make sure your load is down, you won't have anxiety. Go ahead, any questions? Because we'll wrap this up.
I'm just curious about whether or not you think that self-trust or trust in general has anything to do with being able to
Yep, absolutely.
eliminate anxiety.
Yeah, because you can't have doubt and trust at the same time. It's impossible. You're either in doubt or worry, or you are in trust and faith all the time. But you can't have doubt and faith at the same time. It's impossible. Because you, go ahead, Jess.
Oh, sorry. Are we finished?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay. I was wondering, you were talking about Mercury being a cause of some of this.
Yep.
Is one of the characteristics of Mercury on the opposite side of anxiety and fear apathy? And like, you can't get worked up about anything? Or it's probably like a whole nother workshop.
No, that's okay. If someone was in that situation, I would look more like this. The heavy metal has paralyzed their regulation, and they don't have the ability to respond appropriately. So if I have somebody and I go, "Ooh, a cliff, woo," and they go, "I don't that's not appropriate." You know, if somebody, okay. Being calm in very stressful situations can be learned and all of that, but you're talking almost about a vegetative state, non-responsive. That's Mercury.
Yeah.
That's Mercury. Yep.
And
Go ahead.
before Jen's question, from an anxiety standpoint, I do IVs all day long. That Doc obviously writes scripts for them, but I actually administer the IVs. I've watched people in the chair have anxiety,
Go right into anxiety.
as we're doing. I have had anxiety getting my IV before I even get my IV.
Yeah.
As I'm getting my IV, I have anxiety. I think Dave and somebody else watched me do it one day when I was trying. And Doc were trying to get an IV on me because my mercury level comes up, it knows it's coming out, and my anxiety goes through the roof. One of the first pushes we did on Beth, Beth was like, just keep doing it before I run out of this chair and pull the IV out of me. You know, the anxiety comes up. So mercury is one of the huge aspects of this, and I just want to mention, for me, before I found this world, massage, reflexology allowed me to start to become being.
Well, and it puts you back deep into your body. It puts you in your body. Folks that have anxiety are actually feel disconnected, and they're trying to avoid how they're feeling. It's an avoidance of how I'm feeling, okay? Because it's that build-up and big charge that's coming out as anxiety. And a lot of times, it's a place where I haven't been able to express what I actually feel for a very long time, and so that just keeps building up. There's other things you can do to discharge that, and one of the best remedies is the Bach Flower Rescue Remedy for anxiety. It doesn't say for anxiety, it's called Rescue Remedy. Any kind of, you should have this in your car, you should have this at home. You have a car accident, spray a rescue remedy. You get injured, spray rescue remedy. If you feel like you're having an anxiety attack, spray rescue remedy, and you can't overdose on it. The other thing that's very good is a blend of 2 Bach flower remedies. There's several actually, but one that's extremely powerful for anxiety and the fear of feeling fear. It's very specific. The fear of feeling fear is agrimony and it's in my mind. Aspen. Thank you very much.
I know because we gave it to our dog,
and Aspen,
who was so afraid of his own shadow.
The wind blowing.
And he's a 90-pound Weimaraner. He shouldn't be afraid of anything. And anything went by, and he'd be like,
he would jump sideways. You ever seen an animal leap sideways, you know? All his hair would come up, the wind just blew.
A couple drops of Aspen.
But we were doing Aspen and agrimony, and it calmed him right down. He was fearful of feeling fear.
I just wonder what your take is on chemical imbalance. You're talking about, like over-medicating, Zoloft, or whatever, anxiety attacks, but, people say there's a true chemical imbalance. Are you just saying that that's a toxic load?
The chemical imbalance is probably what they're seeing at the end of the spectrum in regards to there's all this disbalance and probably dysregulation going on in the system, and if they're sympathetically charged up, it's easy to constantly be on that edge of feeling like I'm under some big challenge. So if I medicate you and force that to disappear, you can force it to disappear, and as long as I take the med, I might be able to maintain that. But the minute I come off the medication, that all tends to come flying right back. So I'd rather try and drain it and try and work a safety valve. Remember when we drew this thing up here and we talked about the loads? You have all those different kinds of loads. What I'm looking for is an appropriate safety valve so it never has to go up here. And so for me, this is the nature, the artwork, the good sex. This is the good relationships with my people. This is being able to talk about it or express it before I ever get to this place. And this might include having to have, heavy metals taken out of my system. And the Heal detox kit is very good for this. It doesn't cause anybody to have big detox experiences like, oh, I'm in the bathroom all the time, but it starts to drain the lymph, it starts to handle the gut a little bit, it starts to handle aspects of the kidneys and the bladder, which relate specifically to fear. Our kidneys and our bladders are the organs that hold fear, dread, hopelessness, impending doom, worry. Kidneys and bladders. So feed yourself lots of water, make sure your kidneys and bladders work real well, and you'll have less of that. And that's been absolutely proven in people in the military. You get into combat, about 70%, about 7 out of 10 guys will just urinate. When things start happening, you will just urinate. Rangers know it all the time. We don't wear underwear. So when I go into combat, I just have my pants on because when I urinate, it won't stay in my underwear. It just dries on my pants. And it's very, very well known. It's a kidney bladder experience. If bullets start flying, you're going to pee. And it's an unspoken but totally known thing amongst men in combat.
If I could speak to the
Go ahead.
mineral imbalance thing
Yes.
from when we do hair mineral analysis for folks, we see minerals are doop and metals are boop, right? Minerals are down, metals are up, right? What we've learned with Dr. Neese and Byron in regards to working with toxicity, and I've seen this clinically before we started doing that. When Ian had his high anxiety people, before we had Heal and Sam and all that, what did they take? Minchex, Mintran, minerals from standard process, and they all felt better.
Yeah.
When we then got into this world and we were doing things a little deeper, I started going, oh, this makes sense. So everybody that's mercury toxic, or anybody that's had a lot of metal in their system, the body will use the metals versus the minerals. It forces minerals out of the body. And until you get enough metal out of your body and you start to high dose minerals, your body will then start to absorb minerals only then. When you get enough minerals, your body will let go of the metals. So did the mineral deficiency, the chemical imbalance, was that a mineral deficiency on most of these folks? I would say yes. From a clinical experience of what we've seen happen, when you put people on minerals, they balance out. Absolutely. They balance out emotionally, they balance out in a lot of ways. And the mercury can cause people, or heavy metals, we talk just about mercury because it's the neurotoxin that is most prevalent in the society, but it's not just mercury, it's lead.
Aluminum.
Lead can make you feel crazy. Aluminum can make you feel crazy too. And it's the all those metals together. Thank you. The combination of those metals and that level in our system, that toxic level, when it's raised, that causes that feeling.
Yeah, and if your body's up against it all the time, I mean, look, I can create anxiety. Ready? If I take a rubber band and wrap it around his pinky really, really tight and tell him I don't want to see you for a week, but you got to leave that on, I'm telling you, 3 or 4 days he's going to feel anxious. He's going to go, yeah. My mind is just focused on this. It's just focused, my finger's blue and it's bothering me. You're going to have anxiety. You create anxiety. Yeah. So you got to start looking at your life and going, how many rubber bands that are too tight are on me? Where can I get some kind of breathing room? And if I have some breathing room, let me compensate a little bit. We did a seminar for a bunch of docs this weekend. Beth came up to me at one point. She said, I had a dentist this close. The dentist was going to come. She's interested in this, but it's tough. They don't understand any of this. And they were this. She said, there's some room still in her mind. There's some room to be. That was a beautiful analogy. If you don't have any more room, you're going to feel anxiety. Clean the closet out, and your anxiety will drop. That can be hard to do because it might be, honey, I got to get rid of you. I would say don't do that, but it should be. But it should be this. It should be this. It should not be, honey, I should get rid of you. It should be, honey, let's talk about some stuff. I have some anxiety. I want to say some things I've never said to you. I want to express some things, and it doesn't have to be negative. It could be positive, but it's just never said it. Start to look at the rubber bands that are around your fingers and decide, hey, which ones can I get off and lessen my anxiety? Any other questions before I cut you loose? Go ahead.
I just have a question about anxiety in children.
In children, yep.
Yeah, so that's especially interesting to me.
Yes.
Like, why
That's what anxiety is in children. They worry. It's worry. Okay? It can be a toxic load, but children, I asked Byron about this because I was going to do this workshop, and I asked him specifically about that. He said they don't really experience anxiety, they experience worry. And what are they worrying about? Well, there's only a couple of things. You need to explore that with them. You're worrying about making mom and dad happy. You always make us happy. You're worrying about school. It's usually with children, it's situational. If it's not situational, I look for a toxic burden with the physical body. Yeah. And then let's say it was that, I would look at foods and allergies that make kids seem anxious or worried. Okay? I say this to a lot of folks all the time. It's kind of a simple fix. It's a little goofy, but it does work. If you're in a place of anxiety, and if it's situational anxiety, like I don't like flying in a plane, or that kind of stuff, or worry about dying, okay, you can trace back, if you spend enough time with folks, you can trace anxiety back to a fear of dying. It's a fear of death. It's a fear of change. Okay? People say, oh, if nothing ever changed, I wouldn't have anxiety. Well, that's not true. You really would. Change is what will eliminate anxiety. But regardless, here's what I say to folks. Throw this in your back pocket. Breathe the roses in, blow the candle out. And the mantra is this: I let go and let God. I let go and let God. If I strap myself in the airplane, and I know I'm not flying this puppy, it causes a lot of anxiety for people. It's an uncomfortable situation for most folks. We're going 35 feet up and you're not flying it. Okay? I let go and let God. Let go and let God. None of us are getting out alive. We're all going to pass away. Everything is passing away. Well, wrap your head around that. You want to stop anxiety? Think about death every single day. Think about, now, for Americans, they go, well, that's horrible. Why would you want to think about why would I want to think about my own death? I avoid thinking about my own death. That's why you have anxiety. No kidding. Other cultures in this world think about death every single day. In what way? Not a morbid way. In a way of, I know I'm passing. I know that I am passing away through this experience. So what does that do for me? Well, that focuses my attention on what I really want in my life, huh? If I know I'm slowly passing, then what am I going to be anxious about? Am I going to spend my time being anxious and worrying about stuff? Or am I going to spend time going, I like him, I want to spend time with him. I like him, I want to spend time with him. I like her, I want to spend time with her. Hey, I don't think you too much. I ain't spending time with him. Because I'm passing. I'm passing, right? I'm passing. I'm moving through this. There's not static. I'm not going to get to stay here very long. So, let the worry go. There's no anxiety. And when you have appropriate fear, say to yourself, oh, this is keeping me alive. So that's good. Thanks for that. Go ahead.
If I say what if, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm worrying about everything. I mean,
you're putting yourself in a situation, though, if you what if, that's an open-ended anxiety question. That will create worry. When I talk to martial arts, people used to say to me all the time, I'd show them a technique, and then they go, well, what if the guy does this? Well, what if the guy does that? I used to say, well, what if the guy pulls out a gun? Then doing this doesn't mean much, right? So I say to people, stop what-ifing. That's the I shouldn't. So don't do the I shoulds and don't do the what ifs, because it's a ridiculous thing you've taken your mind down. Well, what if Mercury drives into the planet tonight? Right? What if Venus crashes into Earth? Well, what if? Well, I could what if myself into complete anxiety, won't leave the house. Because what if a terrorist parks his car next to my car and blows it up? Well, now you're paralyzed. Do any of those make any sense, though? There's not one what if you can give me that'll make any sense that I can't blow out of the water. It doesn't matter. Well, what if I lose my leg? Well, what if you don't? What if I lose my job? Well, then you'll get another. Well, what if? Well, there's always an answer to that. So, let that all go, guys. Fight the toxins, chemically, burdens on the body, and fight the emotional toxins that you've been trained to feel and deal with all the time. Realize 90% of them are absolutely false emotions, false realities, nothing to worry about.